Of course, to the left, they don't appreciate their own failings. They refuse to accept anything they may have done wrong. And instead, you are deplorables, you're racists, you're white nationalist hate mongers. Anything to avoid admitting responsibility for what they did. Now, they've wrapped up their fake news activities. And one of the best ways they do this, which you may have noticed in the aftermath of the election, is hate crime hoaxes. Do you know about hate crime hoaxes? So basically, almost every rape you hear about on campus is fake. Now, that doesn't mean that rape doesn't happen on campus, but the ones the media chooses to report on, the sensational stories, the Rolling Stone, any notorious campus rape you can care to imagine from your media memory from the last 30 years, they all turned out to be fake. And this gives you some idea of the sort of credulousness of journalists. They will believe anything if it fits the narrative, if it concords with the vision of the world they want to push. They believe that all men are potential rapists and that colleges are hotbeds of misogyny, rape, and sexual assault. So like a deranged fantasist, Jackie Coakley, can go up to the Rolling Stone, provide no evidence whatsoever of what happened to her, provide this harrowing, appalling tale, refuse to provide any evidence, go quiet on the journalist, provide a story that doesn't add up, and they run it anyway. And they don't just run it, they put it on the fucking front cover. Well, justice was served in that particular case. But it does show how credulous journalists are. And many people try to get away with this stuff because they know they can. And because it feeds this insatiable well of need for outrage. The sort of, look, an injustice. There is, as Douglas Murray says, the second best gay British journalist in the world. Douglas Murray says there's a supply and demand problem with bigotry. There's not enough hateful people to go around for the left. So they do two things. They enlarge the definitions of hatred. So almost anything can be called racist. Things that aren't really racist can be called racist. And they also just make shit up. And they make shit up all the time. That's how the UVA rape fantasy in Rolling Stone came about, by the way. This trend has accelerated since the election. Fake attacks on Muslim women seem to be in vogue right now. They are the fashion. But they're all fake. Or at least enough of them are fake for you to wonder why we're printing them without checking them. Why journalists will just run this shit without checking it. I wrote an article in May 2016 that documented 100 fake hate crimes that were plastered across the media in just a decade. 100 of them. And of course, there were dozens more that never made it into the public eye, and dozens more that we just didn't pick up. But we stopped at 100. We probably could have found 500, Media runs on this stuff. 500 of them probably wouldn't take too long to find. So you're left wondering, of the hate crimes covered by the media, how many of them are actually real? And the answer is almost none of them. Another interesting fact, which you'll know if you've been following the Dangerous Faggot Tour as assiduously and carefully as you should have, is that almost all of them are done by lesbians. There's huge... No, it's true, sir. There's a huge overrepresentation, like vastly disproportionate overrepresentation among the hate crime hoax perpetrators of women who like a bit of, there are these women who punch themselves at music festivals and turn out to be dykes. There's so many of them. There are these lesbian professors who carve things into their own arms, like bitch, and say, I was raped and he did this. And then eventually 6 months later, it comes out that she did it to herself. These people are bonkers. Honestly, I swear to God, if I can achieve one thing in my life, it would be to end lesbianism. It is a horrible political fad. It is a ridiculous invention of the political left that barely existed in the ancient world. I mean, go back as far as the Greeks, the Spartans, 650 BC, we were fucking each other like crazy. The blokes were. And lesbianism appears occasionally in the literature, but it's, if Juvenal Tacitus would have written about this stuff, they would have gone nuts on it, and they didn't. The number of people identifying themselves as gay is creeping up. The number of people identifying as lesbians is skyrocketing. It's a sort of political statement more than a sexuality. And that gives you a clue as to why so many of them end up committing fake hate crime hoaxes. And I bring this up particularly because Colorado Springs is on the list. In 2015, threats were left outside of a predominantly black church referencing the KKK. Do you remember this? Yeah, some people remember this. And a second one that said, "Black men beware, you are the target." When I say that, it's true. Perhaps I I had to check because it rang a bell no, it rang a bell. I thought perhaps that was a T-shirt I have or something. I was like, I know that from somewhere. I've heard that before. Maybe I've got a T-shirt with that on. But no, it was a hate crime hoax from I will. It was a hate crime hoax from Colorado Springs. This is the evil racist that local police found. This is the guy that did it. Little 90s pop culture for you there. Oh! Whoops. Sadly, this is part of an increasing trend in the US. It is happening all the time, so I encourage you to go out with extreme skepticism when you hear about hate crimes. I happen to believe that hate crimes aren't really a thing. To believe in hate crimes, you would have to accept that punching me is more of a crime than to pick a random straight person. I'm guessing you're heterosexual. More of a crime is more odious than punching him. Now, it's quite clearly the case that I am eminently more punchable than him. I'm very punchable. But according to sort of hate crime kind of philosophy, it's more of a crime to hit me. You'd go away for longer. It's worse because I suck dick. That's insane. Because although I might do that, I'm also really obnoxious and probably had it coming.